and then to never be able to be shaked away from the truth that is their eternal frequency. The truth of their mind stream from the beginning and end, infinitely expanding in all directions, ever limitlessly and boundlessly beyond what we imagine time to be. And I've already told of the key, the intention through medicine ceremony, unconditional love for all beings everywhere without one exception, to set oneself in a place for the benefit of all beings everywhere without one exception, despite oneself, to see what one's purpose is, to come into alignment with one's divine life purpose for all beings everywhere without one exception, without leaving a single being out, no matter what it is we see them to be, unworthy, low, high, demonic, or angel. To always pray for their liberation and their freedom for suffering, their coming into understanding, their releasement from ignorance. And no matter what that may mean for ourselves personally, that we may be able to benefit even one being, that we give permission to a source greater than ourselves, the heart of all that is, the heart within us all, the unconditionally loving place that knows all things in equanimity, to ride our path and override our ego's intention, and make these types of intentions true for us, that we truly are here for the benefit of all beings everywhere, without one exception, despite any reward for ourselves personally, any ego identity, any selfish act in the selflessness that is this sowing of this amazing, phenomenal frequency authentically for everything. And that amazing sowing of intention coupled with medicine ceremony, shamanic practice, and a place of reverence for everything in all of life, including that medicine teacher that be providing us the most amazing gateway as a bodhisattva embodied. That can lead us to some of the greatest, most phenomenal centerings in our expression and the most phenomenal realizations of our beings. And so I always offer that key, but I also wish to continue offering what it is that I found from following that path for any of those who have already been on that path or are going into that path, that they may have some kind of sturdying, some kind of structuring, some kind of similar person experiencing things that has been through things perhaps just before us or before us in some way, and can give us then a perspective and keys and antidotes for our learning that may help us rise easier and sturdier, so that we don't have to go through 4.5 years of learning through spiritual ego for ignorant compassions and selfless services that were actually slaveries that took us away from the ability to liberate our beings fully and bloom our lotus continually. You know, I hope to be able to help things rise more quickly than what I did into the centering of their being. And I believe that's why we do come into these places, so that we are able to do this. And so hopefully the sharing of this experience will provide just that, if not provide it for myself through my own watching of the videos, Ray through her own being here with the videos, or whatever it may happen to be. I am very grateful for today and for everything in every way and how it's come to us to bring a place to play, a place to pray, a place to really be authentically here for the benefit of all of we, who occurs here perfectly and synchronicity. How amazing that everything is already so perfect that we don't have to touch it, that there's nothing wrong to fix. How spacious is it that everything is already so amazing and so perfect and so equanimous and so exactly where it needs to be, that we're allowed to simply be relaxingly, and no matter how we be perfect like everything already is. It'll be wonderful to come into this amazing realization. It'll be wonderful as we continue to grow and learn, and this channel comes through, to see how it is that I may be able to help you do this, that I may already be, and that it will become even greater and greater showings as we continue on learning with one another. I feel a great centering right now that I was able to talk about the resistance and the focuses of the previous video, and how it can be difficult to not want to form myself to look a certain way, and to remind myself, as I always must do, that yes, I am still learning, I am still a student, and it's okay to be that, and it's okay to show that. In fact, that's the beauty of showing that, is that it helps us all feel more closer connected, because we are always still growing. I awoke in my mind years and years ago, spun my energies together, and still I am growing many years after. And so we'll keep growing, and it's okay. We are eternally the student and eternally the teachers, And eventually we do come into a place to where we can articulate our reality so well and so amazingly that we become more directly the teacher, but still always reside as the student. And for myself, I am allowing the teacher to come through as myself, of course. I'm coming into myself as the moment, allowing myself to appear spontaneously and simultaneously, constantly, with less and less reverberation away from me, triggering from me, more and more confidence, allowing the fluidity and the less need for me to attempt directing of me, knowing that my force and reverberation be hopeless because it creates the opposite. So if I wish to be in alignment with what is intelligent or amazingly in fluidic elegance with everything, then I'll just step out of my way and allow myself to be however it is I may be without needing to direct, control, or manipulate, force me into any way I believe preferably myself to need to be, for any way I may be perceived, received, or anything at all entirely. Thank you for allowing me to be currently, and for listening, and for being with me if you're viewing. And thank you, Ryan and Ray and everybody today. Thank you for everything. I love you. Thank you for letting me speak so long in such great durations. Boom. Angie's popcorn, super delicious. I love you all with all that I am, all that is. Thank you. And I think that'll be the end of the transmission for the evening. We've done this quite long. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. I'd love to speak more to Ray and get this light out of my face. I do like the light, though. It's actually quite nice. I don't mind staring into it at all. It's kind of an easy way to have one point of focus, like staring at the sun or a star. Hope it's good for my vision. Oh man, this coffee's really warm. Maybe we will keep talking since there's so much coffee left. God, I did a whole one. I mean, who wants to stop drinking the coffee? I mean, goodness, we'll turn off the light, we'll turn off the channel, and I'll just be sitting here in silence with a whole cup full of caffeine. And Ray, she's probably sleeping. I don't even know what's going on with her. I can't see her at all. She's just a shadow in the night.
I'm still here.
I heard her squeak like a mouse back there, like a little whimper or something.
I'm still here.
I know, I love you.
I had coffee too.
You're the greatest. I bet you're sitting up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yes.
I can't see you. That light's so bright. There's a rainbow around it. These lights are so cool. If you stare at a light, you can actually see the way the light comes into the corner of your eye, all the little different lines and all those things, the wave patterns it's reverberating. It's actually a really amazing way to start dating teachings from reality because it kind of creates the softness of focus. That's why psychedelics are really great. They break down the barriers of the mind, and they also bring you directly to the present moment. While you're tripping on medicine ceremony, you are not going to call your sister or your mother or whatever else. You're tripping. You're at a very private and personal time. And so you're not worried about work or going to the store. You're there for however long that medicine is affecting you in that manner. And so it brings a huge potent potential for the limitless expression of the moment to sift through and transmute any kind of dissonant frequency that's causing a blockage within our identities or our personal belief system that's causing us any kind of uncomfortable reverberations within our reality. So it has a huge ability to transmute and transcend energies. I would recommend that if you're going to a teacher or a shaman or anything, that you really find out if that person has a high level of understanding. If they don't, I would maybe find a way to be in a safe place with myself and set my own ceremony and do so in a way, like I said, that has plenty of places of grace and understanding. Maybe even with a friend or a lover that's sober that can simply hold space and be there for us if we freak out. Also music and maybe movies, something that can help us ground and center if we start to, lose ourselves in a certain way. I was really good at this. You can also color and bring in neon light sticks and stuff like that. That stuff kind of seems like not very ceremonial, not very ritualistic, but it's more childlike, this flow. Kind of brings you into an innocence and an effortless relaxation that can really bring upon the fruition of great realization and understanding, and coupled with intention during that medicine ceremony. So this really strange child curiosity with objects can bring great knowings. And so a lot of us go very serious and don't have any play. And a lot of us go very playfully and have no seriousness. It's a balance between these two distinctions that can really provide the greatest ground for growth. Sometimes people are so playful, they just have, funny, insane, trippy things, and they never have any kind of realization that's lasting. And that's more common, and that's why psychedelics usually have a bad name, because we're like, whatever, that just made Larry think he was a glass of orange juice for a week. That's not fun. That's not doing anything good for society or spirituality or consciousness entirely. But then there's people like Ram Dass and other people that have been led to giant spiritual paths. Of course, their glimpses didn't lead to long-lasting realization as much as going to their teacher did, and so they spoke against the ability to have long-lasting realization through this, but they also never coupled their medicine ceremony with the intention of the Bodhisattva. And so I do believe that if they would do this, they would see a much different thing, and that will be able to explain why the cycle that they connected to with their intention was a shorter cycle than that which gives the long-lasting eternal realization of one that lasts the limitless cycle, that of the intention of the Bodhisattva. And there's ways that I was writing books about this, and I was creating imagery that had to do with like a sphere that was the entire earth looking like an ocean, and a drop hitting the ocean of a limitless potential that perpetuated its motion continuously forever, that created a ripple pattern that rippled, and it created more ripples until every possible combination of ripple was created. And this was a way to start articulating karma, in a sense, and the ripple that begat all ripples was what I was saying, the cycle that began all cycles. The motion that started all motion is pretty much what it is. And we're going to be breaking it down into those kinds of things, and the cycles, and the keys, and the codes, and the geometries that can be reflected here within our physical reality, so that we can understand logically in a tangible way what's occurring here seemingly esoterically, but we're going to bring it into a realm of specificity and science-like understanding, to where we no longer have to say, fuck this stupid flimsy bullshit. We can see that it's well-founded, and that we can actually release our arrogance and look more into it with a childlike curiosity that could bring amazing fruition of these teachings through us, allow us to directly experience the embodiments of these realizations. Yeah, I really feel like it's going to end like all the time, but then it doesn't, so here we are still. I wonder how long it's been going. Do you know how long it's been going?
Well, part of it was stopped and continued, but it's probably been like
What's it on
two
now?
and a half hours. It's on an hour and 6 minutes.
Huh?
It's on an hour and 6 minutes, but there is another like hour and a half before that I accidentally stopped and then just started back up again.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, it's a good amount of time.
It could be like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it is really potent. I mean, a lot of the things that have been coming through have been coming in a great coordination, a great fluidity, a great symmetry to me. I'm really happy about it. I can't wait till the upgrading of my lexicon, through the softening of my gaze, and the greater surrender into more subtle style ways of expression. But really, I do see that this is all actually just a timed reflection of what needs to be said. We can go into greater realms of motion and frequency, but for right now, and the way that our table has been going, our videos have been going, this is a steady rate of progression from the very first video made to the video made now. So right now we're preparing the ground, we're creating it to be fertile for the implanting of seed. Maybe we've done it in a big way, but we keep doing that more and more so that it can grow more and more, nurturing the soil, watering the soil, giving it sunlight, giving it nutrients, worm food, whatever it may need. That way we can bring in higher frequencies and higher understandings. We don't want to overload anybody's circuitry before they've really had the frequencies related to and the empowerments, the activations necessary to sow it in the seed in a way that's well-founded and won't allow them to be shaken into a place of great confusion. Typically, this seems to be an impossibility, really, unless the causes and conditions prove correct by karma, which is what we were just simply talking about, karma. The motion that begins all motions, the cycle that begins all cycles. Bringing this into physical reality, the specificity. I told you before that we use our smallest unit of measurement and cycle, which is the most basic symbol that we can use here commonly, the torus or toroidal field in its entire imagery, the donut-like reality. That's moving inwards one direction and back the other way, showing how the male and the female are both giving, receiving, giving, receiving, giving, receiving. It's tough to tell what's really happening there. It just seems like one perpetual motion into itself, out of itself, into itself, out of itself. And that's the unit of measurement in the physical reality we'll use to explain the smallest of cycles, and also the image of the largest of cycles, which is a wonderful way to talk about the fractal universe, or how everything exists kind of holographically, reflecting itself over and over again in every moment, in every way, in every shape, and every size, to this increment of measurement, to this increment of measurement, to this increment of measurement, to all the possible combinations of measurement. The entirety of the whole is presented. And we'll come to a really simplistic understanding of that logically here within physical reality and subtle reality. And then we'll be able to maybe have a template, a way to view that will be able to show us that as we look into the mirror of our own reality consciously day to day. And so I hope these transmissions really reach us in a place of elegance and grace, no matter how it is that it reaches us. I suppose that it will. And that I don't need to force anything or control anything or guide anything. And no matter what comes from this in any way, it will be of the greatest of perfections, just like everything is. But through how it's received, I'll definitely learn and grow and refine and see what's going on. Luckily for me at this time, I'm not controlling or really doing anything, and so I can just come into greater ways to not control myself, greater ways to allow myself, greater ways to trust the moment, to present it through myself, as myself, in a way that's symmetrically in alignment with the greatest benefit of all of myself. And it's wonderful that that's all that can ever happen. And so, like I said, I just rest more easily in the relaxation of the knowing of that frequency, as I've come to many places of knowing to bring myself to this centering and founding in my frequency, the confidence in my being that says these things so strongly, and to some people arrogantly or condescendingly, but really it's just that I've had so many experiences necessary to bring me to this realm of centering. So many angles of view giving me saying the same thing to bring me to this amazing center point. But this light that I'm viewing really reflects, so it would be wonderful to bring us into the very simple ways to soften the gaze and look at the borders of things and allow them to dissolve. And how amazing medicine ceremony is for allowing that. And we can talk all about that later and release our judgment of our medicine teachers. Whatever they brought us to see that scared us had nothing to do with them being evil or wrong, and was just something that we needed to see that was the blockage that wouldn't allow us to realize ourselves more deeply. And so it showed us that first. This happens to me too. Usually when I get around another being, we get to the place in which they can no longer rise with me, and that's the place we have to go through, that dissonance. And we can't go into any higher understanding until we get through that dissonance. And if they're unwilling to work through it, there's no way for us to go forward, and all I can ever do is speak on that part of nature, because that's the thing that blocks us from going further. And so anybody comes up, it's wonderful if we can work through these things, because that's what I do. If something pops up for me, I work through it right there and then, and it's done. And I learn from it, and I'm able to share it, the next experience I'm having, and it becomes a beautiful wisdom and growth and perfection, and I just am so grateful for it. And for anybody that's with me, I hope that we can do that. If we can't, then I'm sorry. I'll see you when we're able, or when I've come to a higher understanding that allows me to provide the spaciousness necessary to allow you the spaciousness necessary for us to grow together, or however it may be, or that you do that for me, or however it may be. And so I'm happy to come into the realm of understanding and the clear mirrors for expressions that show me people like Ray,
who really do want to work through it and move through it, and that we are able. I thought that we were able, but no being was able to do it with me previously. So now that I've seen that yes, we are able, and that spaciousness is providing for that, absolutely. It's not forcing, controlling, or trying to pressure anything to do what it doesn't want to do. It's just providing awarenesses and spaciousness and presence and patience. As long as I'm able to express myself fully, I have no reason to care about what anything else is doing. I just want to be able to be myself. And seems like maybe that's all we're ever really wanting. All the resentments and dissonances and judgments and attacks and defenses and problems and focuses that cause us to believe that something's against us is really just times when we weren't, confident enough to be ourselves, and we blame something else for that. But it's really just us. We have the ability to be ourselves and authentic at any time. And eventually, when we follow the line to the root of why we have any kind of dissonance within us, it will usually always be led back to the reflection that we decided to suppress ourselves for some benefit of ourselves or some benefit of somebody else. And it was born upon the understanding of a false reality. And so when we come into the true understanding of what is here occurring, we can see that that's not true, that being ourselves, no matter what kind of dissonance it may have provided or what kind of friend or thing we may have seemingly lost, it would have given to us a part of ourselves that be of higher benefit than any kind of material or social gain could ever be perceived, any finite, illusory desire could ever bring to us satisfaction. Being ourselves is the highest of satisfactions. And it's so simple when we find that to be the root cause, that there'd be nobody ever doing anything against us. It's just us being afraid to be us that's causing us any kind of strange dissonance and unhappiness within our reality. And as we become more and more honest and authentic and mindful and aware of why it is we do things, we can see this really truly. And I will do my best to help us by being extremely honest and authentic with my own process, that we can see that maybe it relates with ways that we've gone through things, and that we can maybe come to similar ways to express ourselves and understand and move through amazing dissonances in our frequencies, just through a very amazing act of self-expression and honesty, confessing to one another, being honest with ourselves and moving through ourselves by bringing in our direct experience and our higher awareness through our authentic interaction with consciousness truly, without the dogmatic template of our viewing skewing the way in which our information has come through those direct experiences. That's another thing about being completely honest with us, like a scientist would be. If somebody could check our work actually, how is it then that we would present our work? Would we always present it in line knowing that somebody's definitely going to check it? Or would we want to be completely, absolutely honest and give everything that we believe or know about it so that nobody catches us in lie and makes us look like a fool? That would be obviously intelligent if we cared about what other people thought. I cared about what other people thought so much that I became honest because I was sure they could tell I was lying, even if they couldn't. And so that was actually really beneficial. And loving science, I learned how to look at my experiences, my medicine ceremonies in a way of a scientist, looking at factual data, seeing where I had added definition and then take away that added definition for what was the simple, plain, and basic, mundane, what actually occurred only. And from that, I was able to derive actual information that was really beneficial and efficient to me understanding what was actually occurring, and not just placing my ego illusory story on top of what was happening. And that cleared me up pretty amazingly. All of consciousness, of course, did this for me, and I did set the intention that surrendered me to allow consciousness to do this for me. And I constantly reverberate the permission to consciousness to write me in, make sure that I stay in the highest benefit for all beings in every one of my actions. I do this even knowing that it'd probably be unnecessary of me, but whenever I feel like it'd be necessary, I do it as a way of studying. And when it no longer feels necessary for me to do it, then I probably won't do it. But as long as it seems to be of some necessity, I'll keep these stepping stones that help me until the time they fall away and no longer be a necessity. So even if I come to a place of doubt and confusion where I have to again tell myself, I am love, I am light, I am life, I'll do that. I'll remind myself how much I love myself and how perfect I am. I'll do that all the day long if I need to. I have plenty of love and compassion to be with myself, massage myself, touch myself, give to myself, and also to all of you as well because of this. As I give to here, it becomes easy to give to here. As I give to here, it becomes easy to give to here. It's the same. Giving is receiving, and receiving is giving. And we'll find this through our authentic way of giving to ourselves. No longer having to give to things will allow us to give to things genuinely, not through the necessity of slavery to be. So in a liberated and free way, the wisdom of non-action, bringing a lot of merit to its focus. And that merit will see that everything shares equally the merit of their actions in different ways. And so we can release judgment and the need to refine or make anything look just like us, but that we can still express and share ourselves as we wish. And that eventually the rising of awareness will bring us to express from that place of risen awareness. And we may find that it is such a risen awareness that everything we express is a benefit. It is a beautiful teaching that is harmonious with the rising of all of consciousness. And that's what I'm finding for myself personally, and so I see a huge, amazing worthiness to my being, and I really believe in it. So a lot of me doesn't want to go to Maui because I believe I'm deserving of a house and all kinds of things. And I'm like, well, but I'm also deserving of like warm weather and sitting naked on a beach, and so really there's nowhere I can do that freely aside from Maui. And even though it'd be nice to have a house, I really am fine outside. It's only the cold that makes me feel like shitty, or feeling like I'm in danger, or that nobody accepts me, and so they all hate me, and they're all like presenting like dangerous frequencies towards me, even though all I'm ever doing is unconditionally loving them.